Welcome to Grow to Amazing. This is Tony Mays talking, and just welcome to a beautiful Tuesday. I am going to be doing a word of the week today, and the word of the week for today is failure. And failure kind of goes a long way with me because I think it has been one of my defining characteristics in life. I think not not necessarily failing, but feeling that I've failed and feeling that I have somehow fallen short of my potential and where I thought I should be. And so look, we're going to dive into that today. Hope you can stick around and listen to this a little bit and help me kind of talk through some of my thoughts and feelings there. And as I kind of work through this, hopefully it resonates with you as well. So there's just a couple quotes I'm going to start out with. I'll throw another quote in there every once in a while. And failure for me comes pretty close to the word regret also, as far as things that I've done or not done, or chances I've taken or not taken. But one of those quotes is by a guy named Ned Vizzini. He has a book called It's Kind of a Funny Story. I'm done with those. Regrets are an excuse for people who have failed. Or Winston Churchill is saying success is stumbling from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. And even going back to Teddy Roosevelt, it's hard to fail, but it is worse never to have tried to succeed. And so there's lots of times in my life when I've looked back on times so I'm 51 right now, and there's lots of times when I look back and say, oh, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have done that, or I wish I would have gone that direction. And if I take the time for that introspection and looking back, it really is such a waste of time. It's such a waste of my effort and energy and wishing and wanting and hoping for things to be different. I mean, time is time and time is gone. And if I look back to what I did 30 years ago while I was in college, or 25 years ago when I was newly in the workforce, or when I had decision points in my life that were important, what did I do? And did I make the right decision? Did I do this? Did I do that? Did it go where I thought it would go? And how did I end up from there? I talked last week about fear and the fear of making a decision, good, bad, or indifferent, and the fear of appearing to be something that I'm not, or of being something that I'm not, or being less than I thought that I should be. And failure kind of goes right along with that. And that's taking things that happened and feeling that they were less than they should have been. And so I can look back on making a decision to be a software engineer, or making a decision to stay in La Crosse for college instead of going to UW-Madison as I had planned, and say, well, that was a failure on my part to stick to my dreams and to stick to what I wanted to do with my life. But really, is it? Is it that badly of a thing? It may not have gotten me where I wanted in that time, but how can I look at my life and say that I have failed? I am blessed. I have a wife that I've been married to for 10 years. I have 4 wonderful boys, and I am sitting here with my health. I am sitting here doing well financially, doing okay, doing a podcast that I love, and trying to get out there and reach people and help people, as well as just where we're at in our life faith-wise and where our kids are at. How can I say that I have failed to this point? But if I let myself sit there and be negative about it and look back and say, oh man, I should have walked away from that company X 8 years ago, and I would have been so much better off doing Y, or doing this job, or doing that job, or doing this, doing that. And so maybe, I don't know, maybe regret is almost a better word, but failure, but that feeling of being less than whole, or being less than not living up to my potential. I've let that permeate my self-confidence and my thoughts for far too long, and that's got to stop. I cannot go back and change decisions that I made. I cannot go back and go to a different job when I was 25 or 30 years old or whatever age I thought that I should have made a change or a career change or gone a different direction. There's nothing, absolutely nothing I can do about that. So how can I call it a failure to make a change when it's locked into the past and I can't do anything about it? So where do I go from here? I mean, do I try to live up to those regrets and that sense of failure by being bitter or by being controlling or by being angry and treating those around me like crap when I blame myself for the choices that I made? Or do I take those feelings and I don't know. I don't even know the right way to say that, but those feelings are there. But is it right for me to sit there and wallow in them like a pig in a big mud pit, trying to somehow recapture something that is or isn't there from that time period and take it with me into tomorrow's world? Or or do I learn something from that? Do I take something from it? And do I find out what my dreams are right now and take a step towards that? Take whatever the feelings are, what the feelings are. I've felt a lot of regret. I've felt like I've failed in a lot of ways. I've felt many different things in my life, but what am I going to do with that? Am I going to take those feelings? I can't take those feelings away because they're already in the past, and I can even feel it in me right now. If I let it overwhelm me, that sense of some kind of failure is there below the surface. But what am I going to do with it? What am I going to do right now with those feelings? Am I going to take them and set them aside and put them where they're supposed to go, which is in the past, and decide that I'm going to move forward now and take, my list of things that I want to do to build this community, to uh, build a new lifestyle for my family? Am I going to take that and move forward positively and with love and gracefulness for myself and for others? Or am I going to sit here and be bitter and angry and die an unhappy, lonely person? Because nobody wants to be around a person like that. Nobody wants to put up with somebody that does nothing but live in self-pity and who takes out their regrets on others. And so feeling that failure and letting it take over your life, you just can't do it. And so you know, how do you deal with that as part of your life? And how do you understand where you're going and what you're trying to do, and set aside those feelings and let it go? It's not easy. I mean, I've spent a good bit of my adult life being depressed and regretful and obsessing probably to an inordinate degree on the past. My wife would probably be the first one to tell you that. But what am I going to do about it right now, and how do I move forward without that in my life? And I think the biggest thing is to separate yourself somehow from those emotions, whether it's, you can't, the emotions are there and the emotions are what they are, but you've got to be able to set those aside and recognize that they're there and then move forward anyway. And take a step, go do something, take a break, go get some exercise, do something positive that's going to influence where you're going. Do you have a list of things that you need to do to positively impact your life to take it where you want to go? Maybe your goals have even changed. I mean, my goal that I had said back when I was 17, 18 years old was to be a radiologist. And And I walked away from that and thought I made a better decision to go where I was going. Who knows? But is my goal today to be a radiologist? No, absolutely not. So what is my goal today? I've got to refocus, I've got to replan, I've got to find a way to make it work with where I want to go today, and be proud of what I've accomplished, be proud of the family I've built, be proud of the struggles that I've overcome. I can't go the other end and let pride be excessive, but I can pat myself on the back to a little bit, but then move forward and keep going. Maybe it's recognizing what that is and then moving forward. Find what my goals are, plan out, take some steps, do a little bit every day. If you're not planning out your day every day, the night before, start doing it. I'm not always perfect at that. I mean, you can see if I showed my calendar, if you could see my planner and things like that, there are gaps in there where I've had days where I haven't done that planning, and I feel less confident going into that day because of it, because I haven't done the work to put it all together. And that increases my chance of making some small failures that day. And unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. And that happens. But I try to recover and not obsess over it and make the next day better. So be planning out your days, set aside the failure, set aside the feelings. The feelings are still there. They are what they are. But if you let it control your life, it's going to take things over. And it's going to poison your relationships right now. It's going to distance you from your family and your friends. And it's going to make it harder, even harder, to reach the goals that you're trying to get to. It's hard to fail, but it is worse never to have tried to succeed. So that's the thing, is if you think you've failed, I'm done, and you don't even try anymore, where does that leave you? Are you really going to give up and just roll over and die? Never confuse a single defeat with a final defeat. That's a quote from F. Scott Fitzgerald. Just because you lost today, maybe it was a huge one. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe you lost a deal. Maybe you somehow blew money that you really needed. Maybe you're getting a divorce. Maybe your kids don't want to talk to you. Maybe you screwed up something really bad and your truck broke down and now you can't get where you want to go. I can think of a million things. But does that mean that tomorrow has to be the same way, that you can't find some way out of it? Tomorrow does not have to be defined by what happened today. Tomorrow does not have to be defined by what happened today. Tomorrow does not have to be defined by what happened today. And maybe I'm telling that to myself as much as anybody. Maybe I need to hear it as much as you do. But failure is not permanent until you're 6 feet underground. And even then, is that failure? Because then you're in heaven with the Lord. But until you are dead and not kicking anymore, I'm going to keep fighting, and I'm going to keep working, and I'm going to take small successes, and I'm going to take small steps, and I'm going to plan, and I'm going to work, and I'm going to have my goals in sight and work my way towards reaching those goals. That's one way. That's how I'm fighting that sense of failure that I feel at times. It's going to fit in with next week's word, I think, pretty closely. Not going to tell you what that is right now, but hopefully you got some good nuggets out of this word of the week. I'm trying to keep this podcast short so it doesn't take too much of your time. So please share, subscribe, and I just hope you don't let failure or a sense of failure or actual failure define who you're going to be the rest of your day and tomorrow, because there is always another day. And you've always got a chance to pivot and take a new direction, take ownership of your mistakes, move forward and move on, and win again. So for Grudo Amazing, it's Tony Mays, out.